Are you ready? Are you ready to pod it up?
Let's go. Let's have fun. Peatcast it.
This is the Simply Youth Ministry Podcast with Doug Fields,
I think it's going to be a four-shoulder touch.
Matt McGill,
Nothing says loving like a muffin.
Josh Griffin,
The internet is a hotbed of activity.
and Jana Sardi.
Podcast.
The show starts now.
Yes.
Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Simply Youth Ministry Fields with
Fields
Josh
here.
Griffin and
Hey.
Jana Sardi, minus
Hello.
the future of the church, Matt McGill, which I know will disappoint some of you, but I'm actually kind of excited because
The two of you that are disappointed. Sorry.
no, more people will be disappointed because there won't be like mean, rude comments.
That's true.
There might be, but they won't be as abrasive.
Yep.
Matt had a meeting or something like that.
Something more important.
Yeah, well, he is the future of the church.
Yeah.
But what I did notice is last time we missed you,
Yeah.
and I don't really like missing you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I don't mind
I don't
missing
like
Matt.
missing the show.
I don't mind missing Matt, but I don't. And then last week we just missed doing the show because Chris, our executive producer,
Yeah.
didn't respond to any of our
Executive
emails.
producer.
Chris, can we
You're
please do a
so
show?
fancy.
Oh, well, I wondered where you were, and I
Kentucky.
sent an email to Andy and said, "Are we doing a show?" I heard nothing about it. I figured since Andy moved to
Yep.
Colorado for the Bucks and he's not involved in the show as much,
Rich Brazelton.
that he is systematically trying to take it down.
Interesting.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we said we were going to get a new table. We haven't got a new table.
Yeah.
This thing still feels like I'm wearing my underwear too high.
Yeah. Our sign's crooked.
Yeah, that's artsy.
Oh, that's
artsy.
creative.
Yeah. But anyway, so Chris, all is okay with the podcast?
That's called a
There's
get.
not an undercover hit to take it off?
No, if I just had a little more time, you would be
You
a
know,
little more consistent.
You just need to
The
get better at time management. Is what
Story
I
of
just heard.
life is a little more time.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of a little more time, I don't know, what episode is this?
104.
This is 103?
103.
103.
That's crazy. We've only done 3 shows since
Since
February.
way back at the group conference. Wow.
103. Hey, well, do you guys want to do episode 104 and 105 without me? Because I'm going to Africa
Oh wow! I
on
forgot
Monday.
about that. Talk about not wanting to do a show without somebody. Yeesh. Do you think we could do it without Doug?
I know
Could
you
we?
could do,
Yes.
You'd do a better show.
We
Except
would have.
with Matt. I don't know about Matt. Matt could be a little crazy.
It would be fun.
Try
to
it,
talk
do it. Go ahead.
What if we did a show where we talked about Doug behind the scenes? Because you can't be here for that show.
That feels really mean.
No, no, what? I just mean talk about you, which is
So-
tough to do when you're here.
Yeah. So questions, should the questions go
Oh, I like that idea.
I'm going to proof them. I'll still have internet.
Actually-
We don't have to
No,
do
I
it.
guess
you
I
know how
won't.
you don't want to talk about someone when they're.
Well, you
right in
guys
front
do
of
whatever you want. I don't
That'd
care.
be fun.
If you want to
Alright.
do the show, great.
Just an idea.
This is show 103.
Should we leave it up to the executive producer?
Yeah.
Oh, that
I
means no
actually
show.
am asking the live audience right now,
Yeah.
and we're saying 100% yes do it without Doug.
Wow.
All
Okay,
right.
so it's the Doug show next week without Doug.
All right.
I like it.
Hey, speaking of that, somebody's going to have to get email and print them. Because
Oh,
we
boy.
moved to, while you were gone, we moved to a new email
I know.
system.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I saw your Twitter about.
It is simply,
Gmail
it's
something?
sympodcast@gmail.com.
And why the change?
Well, what has been my major complaint for 102 episodes?
You don't get them printed. in time.
Exactly.
And I was at fault for the first 100 episodes.
At least.
And so, how does this work? Someone prints them for you
It's now a new email account. I go get them myself.
Wow.
Now, I haven't checked. Chris, did you check the old email account? Yeah, either
So
did I.
podcast at Simply Youth Ministry now forwards to this one or no?
No, we don't even forward.
Oh wow, I shouldn't have even said that one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's sympodcast
at gmail.com.
at gmail.com.
Okay, there
I
you go.
changed it on all the web pages.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
so we just have to go in and get them ourselves. Because
Yeah.
what? Okay.
Yeah,
Next
I'm
week.
in
Easy.
total control
So
of it now.
basically,
you're
we.
right.
I printed
Africa.
them out. I read them.
Yeah.
I actually forwarded to. What?
No, that's good. Total
Oh, that I didn't
control.
print them out?
You can do your own
It's
email.
not true either.
No, I did print out a few.
Okay.
Yeah, the ones that. Now, Allison, Jenna's assistant, printed them out for me
That's great.
since I don't have an assistant.
Yeah, what is that? Are we all your assistants?
No.
Is that what this is?
No, we're friends.
My
We're
thing
friends.
is,
Oh, we're and
as long as
friends, yes.
Jana is happy, I don't care. Jana can have 100 assistants
Oh,
as long as
goodness.
she's happy. So Allison printed them out, handed them to
Okay.
me. I went and updated the refresh, printed out the new ones, read through them all, actually forwarded two to people that didn't feel like they should be read on the air, but
Oh.
to other people who could help. I felt totally in control.
That's great.
So that's the new system.
That's great.
sympodcast at gmail.com. newsminders.com.
Imagine a new system. Hard to believe we would roll out a new system, but
It's not really a system. It's just now that I feel like I can get the emails.
But it's still, you still went to a web-based program, right?
I don't know.
Oh.
Is it?
control.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gmail.
It's just so funny. Okay.
Cool. So control.
We got a
issues.
new
Great.
email address.
You
Next
guys
week.
talk about
on-
that next week. That's fine. Hey, Twitter. I wrote down Twitter. Oh, because we were see what we do for those our team out there,
Yeah.
not our audience, but our team.
We're all
What
in
some of our
friends.
team doesn't realize is that when we start to talk about stuff when we get together here,
Yeah.
we say stop. Let's talk about
Yeah.
that on the show. And one of them I called Jana a voyeur, and you wanted to know what I was referring to.
Yes,
And I've been giving her a hard time because she follows Twitter, but she never twits.
Never twits herself. I
Never
agree.
twits. And she's
she
even
needs-
blocked, right? You're even blocked.
I don't
you
think
have
I'm blocked.
protected
No,
your
I think you're
updates from other
blocked.
people. So if you did update, we wouldn't even get to
No,
know.
I'm following. She could probably block me though, but so she knows all that's going on in our world.
Yeah.
and
she's
she
the
doesn't-
enigma.
Well, I think
She's
it's
a
a voyeur.
mystery.
You know what? A few weeks ago when I spoke at Fuel when you weren't there,
Yeah.
I talked about that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
About stalking everybody but not revealing
Yep.
people into your own heart.
Yeah.
What, did you give yourself a word for that?
No.
No. All right.
Twitter stalker. Twitter voyeur.
This is from Anthony Hernandez. What?
Shouldn't we
Address that?
Yes,
No, it's
like-
not.
What?
You know
There's nothing that's so exciting in my life
Should
that
we
everybody
block
needs to hear
her?
about.
Because you can block specific users.
That's a great idea.
So, you're not going to let us block?
That's a great idea. Will you
Done.
block her?
Absolutely.
Promise?
Will
right after
you?
the show?
Will
yes,
you?
if you do.
Done.
Oh no!
No more spying on us. Can't do it.
That is
Twitter block.
funny.
List of things to do after the show. Block Jana.
Twitter block. Jana.
All
Done.
right. Hey,
No more, Jana Sardi.
While you guys were, the reason we started a little bit later than normal is I was on a conference call. Andy was actually a part of it with the new 2010 Simply Youth Ministry Conference.
Oh, yeah.
Began
Cool.
to program for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't think they're asking you back this
I was just
year,
going to
John.
say, began a program.
You weren't involved
Wait
in
a
that
minute.
meeting. Oops.
Oh, wow.
This is from Anthony Hernandez. Says, I've been sending to the old email, and on episode 102, you guys said this was a new one. So is it official or just thrown out there? Anthony Hernandez, you are the first one to get
And so
read off
You-
of
you
Gmail,
get to-
SYM podcast.
What does he
at
win?
gmail.com.
He gets
Didn't
to
win
program the
nothing.
group conference.
No, I just,
More than dodgeball shirt or
Congratulations.
something? Come
no,
on.
I just thought that was,
Oh.
yes, it's official.
That is, yes. In
More than
your
dodgeball.
prize-
How's your blog going?
Oh, it's going great.
Yeah?
It's going great. Yep.
Still making like $34 a month from
Yep.
ads?
Yep. 72 now.
72?
Cranking.
Really? You
Cranking.
made 72 bucks?
Click away, guys. Click away. Someone just bought advertising, not through me, but through Simply or something.
Yeah.
They bought the top banner. Some web guy who does like custom Photoshop stuff, and he
Yeah.
bought the ads. So it's cool.
Do you get the money for that?
I know. I wish I did. That'd be great.
Why don't you?
I don't know. I think I should talk to Andy after this, maybe.
Is it Andy's blog?
He's in the live chat.
Of course he's in the
Andy.
live chat.
Well,
Oh, he has time for us?
Hey,
I want to program the group conference again. Keep your banner ad. I really like that.
this is from Tim Petrie, and I just want to
Dish.
say, Tim, thank you. Thank you for caring about, that was so lower shelf humor. It was just, he cared about my
I
Quicken.
see
You see that?
Your Quicken?
I
Whoa.
talked about I have new Quicken. I just
And
want to write
Quicken
that.
anxiety.
I don't know exactly why.
Who uses Quicken still?
What do you mean?
Unblock.
What
No,
are you
you're
talking
still
about?
blocked. Quicken? Really? Quicken.
What do you
What do
use?
you use?
Microsoft Money.
Oh.
Oh yeah, that came around like in the 80s, didn't it?
Yeah, and it dominated Quicken.
It would be nice to know. Tim, let us know who dominates, Quicken or Microsoft
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah, Tim.
But he
Take a poll.
He was able to help me with my Quicken deal.
You know what you should
Wait,
do
what?
is-
That you had your withdrawals coming out of the same column as your deposits?
block. Twitter block.
block back on.
Shoot.
You just go, all you need to do now, it doesn't, Quicken and money don't even matter anymore. Just go to mint.com, mint.com, and it'll do everything online for you. Your ledgers and everything online.
But I don't love it online.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I don't either.
Fair enough.
Block off. But he
I'm just-
says
it's
maybe
totally
you guys
free.
should do a Simply Youth Ministry tech podcast.
Oh.
And that Chris hates this podcast. We probably don't want to.
Yeah.
He'd probably love his own, though, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He would,
You'd have
would love
plenty
his
of
own
time for
show.
that, huh?
Youth Ministry Geek Podcast.
But you do have a blog, right?
We have one.
You have
I
a tech
one.
blog.
Yeah.
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 What's it called?
YouthMinistryGeek.com.
Uber Geek?
Youth Ministry.
YouthMinistryGeek.com. So anyway, Chris, or Tim Petri Dish.
Hernandez.
Thank you. Thank you.
Quicken.
Nate Berry. Nate Perry says, Doug, that was a Laker game. Follow me on Twitter. No.
Block.
Jana will.
Yep. Hand it to her. That's it. You got. You got to
Laker
follow
game.
him now.
No.
Laker game last night.
You went to the Laker game last
No.
night.
Yes, I watched it
Yeah.
on
I was just
TV.
gonna say. Ah.
No.
Why don't you follow him?
Nate.
Lakers.
You follow lots of people.
I follow 200 and something people. now.
Wow.
Yeah, I
But
need
not
to
on your
scale
phone.
back. No, only a few on my phone. But I need to
How do
scale
you?
back.
How can you? That's the reason I only follow kind of people in the world that I live in. I'd
I
love
wa-
to follow all the other youth workers in the world, but
It just felt like they were
I follow
starting.
Andy Stanley.
Yes,
So
I
he's
do
not
too.
in my world.
No, but he's a good guy. Good Twitter. I'd give him a 3.
On a scale
Out of
what?
what?
1 to 10.
I,
He'll get better.
He'll
He's
get
great.
better.
He'll
He's
get
kinda
better.
new.
But you're right, he's new. Totally new. He's like 2 weeks old. So
no, it's more than that. Mark Eads. He says, do you have a prayer team that prays for you on a regular basis? Look at us. What do you think?
Yeah, seriously, look at us. What do you think?
seriously, we're his prayer team.
Is that an important part of one's ministry? What are the best ways to set up a prayer team, and what are ways one should communicate with their prayer team? From Mark Eads, just a middle school guy.
Boo.
Prayer team is the easiest thing to set up in all of volunteerism in the church. And one
Yeah.
of the things that I actually wrote about this in PDYM is it is, to me, the entry-level way to get volunteers involved, because you can say to people, you know, will you work with high school students or junior high students? And most of them will say, I don't have time. You can say, do you have a house we could use, a 15-passenger van? You know, you can get the resources. But there's not many people in the church that said, would you mind praying for us, that is going to say no.
Right. It's true.
You know, the most difficult thing is not getting people to be on a prayer team. The most difficult thing is communicating prayer requests and knowing what prayer requests to communicate.
Yeah. We're actually working on that this week. We brought back kind of a response card that students could, write their prayer requests down, and we're working on getting a couple key volunteers who will, and bring student leaders along too, and pray for those prayer requests. So
Yeah.
I was amazed. We used our Simply Text account this week and
That's
said,
great.
reply back with your prayer requests, and we were inundated with really powerful things that students quickly and
Did you
freely
read those?
texted
Yeah,
back to us.
I
It was
do.
so
I love it when you get
powerful.
yours back because they're so real.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
students,
They're so real, and there's a couple that are so fake.
Oh,
they're
my
well and so
goodness.
funny. Like
There's
some of
some-
them are just being total.
Yeah, there's
Well,
funny.
no, there's few categories. There's people that are being total knuckleheads. Like one
Right.
person wrote back something we can't repeat over the
Yeah.
air.
no, but it's
And
so-
didn't have any idea that we would have their
We
phone
totally
number.
knew who it was.
Yeah.
That said that
And
hilarious
it was
thing.
like a sexual reference plus cussing, the whole bit.
and it
we
was
know,
from a girl, and we're like, oh
Yeah,
no,
really
it was
funny.
unbelievable.
So we got to talk to our pastor about his kids.
Yep.
Second is that there's the super spiritual kids that were like,
Those are
oh,
tough,
just pray
yeah.
that my hour quiet time extends to an hour and a half quiet time.
Yeah.
You know, and then
And
there
you were
was
going,
some.
really?
There were
Yeah.
some that were just so, like the one that, help me pray that I'll stop cheating
Yeah.
at school. I was like, oh, that's so.
But there was even a couple about parents, divorce,
Yeah, divorce
and
was
some.
in there
yeah.
a few times, which is really
Yeah, it was
interesting.
great.
Just real life pain, and
Yeah.
it was just a new idea. To how can we add prayer, add more spiritual depth? How can we be accessible and be pastoral as a youth ministry, not just focus so much on the program all the time and here's the weekend talk, but to make sure that they know that we're a ministry and we're caring for them more than we care for any program or whatever.
Years ago when I was speaking with youth specialties, they used to do these one-day things. Oh, they still do. They're just not called what they were called when I did it.
Yeah, what
They're
are they
called the
called
Core.
No, now they're called one days again, aren't
Oh,
they?
one days.
Yeah.
Anyway, they were called resource seminars. But there was one thing
Creative.
called a real creative name.
Oh, block.
They were called.
Swine
Had this idea called prayer pager, and this was so revolutionary back in the day.
This is an awesome story.
Is that you would give a little 3x5 card or wallet-sized card to your kids in your small group
Yeah.
with different prayer requests. So like, I'm about to take a test. That was like code 113.
That is funny.
That's cool.
Struggling with my family 114, whatever. And so they would call the volunteer, whoever had the pager, and they had a number. So the
Yeah.
volunteer knew, okay, this is Jimmy Smith, and he wants me to pray for his exam. And that gives me then something to talk to
That's
the kid
cool.
about when I see him in
That's
small group the
really
next day.
cool.
And people back then were like, wow, I never had a pager.
Oh, I totally had a pager.
I
I
never had
never
a
had a
pager.
pager.
You didn't have a pager?
I was in grade school.
No way.
I'm kidding. I have no idea.
Oh.
I dealt drugs, so of course I had a pager.
Homeschool?
Never had a pager. Yeah.
You were home.
Yeah.
Hold on, Mom.
Was
I got a
that
call.
was that dress up day? I'm a druggie.
That hurts
So,
a little bit.
Well, truth does. This is from Dave Grigoletti, Second Reformed Church in Fulton, Illinois, and Dave sent 3 questions in. And Dave, just to let you know that because we have this new Gmail system that I'm now in control of, I'm only going to read one of your questions. But here it is. The first part was this whole thank you about, Jan is the best.
Blah, blah, blah. Jan is awesome. Blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. Here we go.
It says, my question is this, from the PDYM conference. He went to the PDYM conference, and that's what his beginning paragraph was, how much he liked it.
Oh.
I picked up the idea of ringing the bell, quote unquote, on some main points of our ministry that we want kids to understand. The terminology that I use is you need to keep ringing the bell over and over so people keep hearing it. Whatever's important to you, you've got to ring the bell. He says, I think I read on Josh's blog, morethandodgeball.com, say it, you know
Ding.
you want to.
Cha-ching.
He picked up on the same thing. You picked up on the same thing?
Did I ring the bell?
No, you picked up on me teaching about.
Oh,
ringing
yeah,
the bell.
yeah,
Like
definitely.
You actually paid attention. And
I
learned
blogged
something?
that day about some of the things that you'd said that were, I was like, ooh, we haven't rung that bell in a while. So I immediately made an adjustment.
He says, we want to ring the bell on things like the 5 purposes, habits,
Yep.
understanding your gifts, small groups, and other key ministry items. How do you keep those main points in the ministry fresh while still trying to ring the bell every year? My issue is this. We just took this past school year to teach on the 5 purposes through your series, Welcome to the Planet. Then we taught on habits with a habits production pack. Man, Andy should love this.
Yeah.
This email right here. This
commercial
is
right
product
here.
placement.
This is awesome.
Now we are ending our year with an evangelism push, hoping to challenge our kids to share their faith with their friends over the summer and bring them back next fall to our midweek programs.
We're using Second Greatest Story Ever Told.
He actually talks about that on one of his other ones. Yeah, yeah. Andy must have discipled
yeah.
him.
Let's
'cause-
be honest. This is Andy writing under a code name right now. This is going to
That's
be
funny.
awesome. Send.
Yeah, because he has 3 emails and all of them have products placed in there.
He knows
It
they'll be
says,
read.
Now we've got freshmen coming in the new year. We want to keep our ministry fresh and current while also ringing the bell on these big ministry points. How do you do that every year? It's a great question. Am I making sense with this? Yeah, absolutely, Dave. You're making sense with it. It's a great question because you want to. You think kids are saying, "Oh, you've taught on this before." I can check out. I've heard this message before. But I teach on the purposes every year, and you could go on our website and just see different titles from the Heart of a Champion during the Olympics. I remember teaching on the purposes, just titled it something different. Welcome to the Planet. It's a Wonderful Life. I don't know. I know I had one on Living Life to its Fullest.
Yeah.
Or, every year I would teach on the purposes and just change the title. But, something like habits.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. How do you ring the bell when you teach on habits?
Well, we've done some different things. We've done series that literally go over HABITS, and you walk through hang time with God, involvement in the church, and all that. But one of the things we did recently was we started to we framed it a little differently. We called it a grow series, and we just talked about the ways that you can grow in your faith. Really, it was a habits message disguised as a grow series. We're having instead of a series this year, we're going to do a one-off, and it's just called Grow Weekend, and it's going to really just be a 1-week emphasis. So we have taught on a little bit too much, or not too much, probably can't, but we've taught on it often. So we thought, well, this year let's do a 1-week version of it and kind of condense it that way. There's other ways to do it too. Have your small group leaders teach habits, so that it's not another weekend series with you're the same voice. Have other people speak into it. And then, finally, I would say stories. A great way to teach a habit is to bring up somebody who's living it out, because that will be an incredible message in and of itself. So,
Well, and also, like, for example, I'm speaking in 2 weeks on giving, and that's one of the habits, but
Exactly.
we're not doing it under the banner of a habit series.
Habit
but
series,
I will
yeah.
talk about habits in that series. So,
absolutely.
disguise is a different word. You think that the kids are saying, "Oh, I've heard this." They haven't. It takes several times.
Well, I was just going to say that you touched on that a little bit. That we on the team that are familiar with that material and are working with that all the time, we
Right.
think that everybody's tired of hearing it. But really, there's new people, and it hits at different seasons too.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, this makes sense,
You're
and
hearing it differently.
Yeah,
Even
so.
if it's saying the same thing. Even like you could get tired of teaching about salvation. You can get tired of teaching about baptism, and you could get tired of teaching some of the things that we're too accustomed to. That doesn't mean that they shouldn't be taught again. You probably just need to put a little more creative energy into it.
Yeah. When you read the New Testament, you'll see both Jesus and Paul say, "I remind you of this. I tell you this again." Repetition, I think, is an important part of being a leader. Our buddy Matthew McNutt wrote in. Matthew McNutt was on season 1 of The Biggest Loser.
Your favorite show.
I love that
I do
show.
too.
I love that show. I wish you could get on it, Josh. Not because I think you
If
need
I
to
got
lose
50
weight.
more pounds on me, I could do it.
How much do you weigh?
300 pounds
Over 300.
and 20 more. Block.
I thought you
yeah.
and Matt were supposed to try and do it together.
I'm in. Let's
Okay.
go.
That
Let's
would
do
I
it.
would I would care for your kids. I would cook for your wife. I would do anything to see
Yeah.
you guys on that show. Yeah, it's awesome. But Matthew McNutt, he was the Biggest Loser. Now that's part of his. He's like youth ministry and weight loss guru
Youth
now.
youth
When
ministry
we first
health.
met him, he was gordo.
Yeah.
Do you remember
Yeah.
meeting him? Is when I was speaking somewhere and I couldn't get there, and you taught my first.
Yeah.
He was in that class.
You're right.
You don't
And-
remember him, do you?
Not at all.
Yeah.
But I remember him being skinny because he had a before and after picture, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
No, he was big then. That time you were there.
Oh.
Yeah, he was very
Oh,
complimentary.
wow.
Yeah,
Are you
yeah.
sure it was Josh?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I'm just playing along.
he says, here's, wow, just finished
Okay.
listening to episode 102. Apparently you guys needed Josh because that episode died a slow death. I love you guys, but it should have been an awesome at 40 minutes instead of the 50 that it ended up. So maybe the last 10 really
Yeah.
sunk it.
Really
I
bad.
thought the fact that Matt was out of control sunk it. But he says, here's my question. I'm a big fan of the different sermon series from Simply Youth Ministry and frequently buy and use them, but I'm starting to think you guys have a lot more time in your services than I do. How long are your weekend services, and what do they typically look like structure-wise?
Good
I
question.
get the impression you have icebreakers, music, movie clips, dramas, games, discussion, and hour-long sermons. Hour-long sermons.
Maybe Doug, but not me. No.
Well, some of us can hold the crowd.
That's why I use video clips. Jerk.
The message audios always seem to be between 45 and 60. I would like to bet him on that.
Wow. That's a long.
Yeah, that.
What would you
seems-
What would you say they should be if they're not between 45 and 60? What are they?
To me, it depends on your audience. It depends on your
No,
communicator.
but I mean on your resources. Like, well, if we went to Welcome to the Planet right now, it wouldn't be 45 to 60. It would be,
I'd probably be 40.
yeah, I would say 30, 39, 44 probably
Yeah,
the most.
40 for me, 30 for you.
Yeah, 30. I'm a 30.
Yeah. So my kids always come home from high school and say, Dad, could you give me about 10 more minutes?
Teach me the Bible for 10 more minutes, Dad.
He says, I always end up cutting about half of the stuff out of the lesson plans, which kills me because it's all great content, but my youth service is 60 minutes. There's no way I can fit it all in.
Hey,
Well,
turn a 6-week series into a 12-week series then.
Well,
bingo.
yeah.
12 weeks of anything.
But our service time is, we program for about 70 minutes.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I'd say 65 to 75 is absolutely the most I'd want.
Yeah. Well, and what I used to do when our youth ministry room was closer to the worship center, oftentimes I would continue teaching until I saw parents come in the back of the room. If I felt like I was on a roll or I had them or I wanted to say more, which,
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
pretty much all the time I think I want to say more. But, we do music.
Yeah.
We'll have some type of
Some element
humor
of fun.
bit
and
usually,
yeah.
either a PowerPoint game or drama, some usually humor element, right?
Yeah. We do announcements. We have some type of a bumper video, like a series themed video that usually we just buy from Simply or find on the web or something. Yeah, and we use a few clips of movies. Or this weekend I played a clip of a scene from Far and Away, the movie with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, because I was in that clip of the movie. And so, yeah, I like to spice things up a little bit.
You were in that
I was
You were an
in that
extra?
movie. Yeah, I was an extra in the movie.
No, you weren't.
Yeah.
Can you see yourself?
Nope.
So
You
so
can
did
see
that
my
get
back.
cut?
you can't really prove
So
it.
no, it's in the movie, but I can point to the guy who I was, but I absolutely cannot prove it because my back is to the camera, and the camera moves like right past me, and you'd never know I'm like that big. Honestly.
Yeah.
But
Did you keep your pay stub from when you
I'm sure my mom has it somewhere. Yeah.
your mom?
Anything? You want to say anything about my mom?
Wow.
So, but I would say last weekend was 64 minutes. I would say 67 is probably our average right now.
Yeah.
Length of a service. An element of fun, a positive environment, understandable message, and students involved. That's what we do every weekend. That's how I grade how we did. If we have students in ministry and students in the band, and we had fun doing it, if it was positive, it was creative. I'd like to be innovative, even though we aren't always, but I try.
You
And
were innovative this weekend.
This weekend was fun.
Yeah.
We broke mirrors this weekend to talk about self-image and the labels we put on ourselves. It was fun. But the understandable message is the key. I mean, sermon prep and delivering the message is a big deal to me. So,
You talking about your back being on the movie reminds me of a couple months ago when I was in speaking for you, and I showed that fat guy with the back tattoo.
goodness, so
Or
funny.
stomach tattoo, or
Yeah,
whatever
the
it was.
Star Wars tattoos
Star
all over
Wars
his
tattoo
back.
in your back.
It was so
And
people believed it.
Yeah, it was awesome.
He puts up this funny picture. Yeah, and then Josh got these tattoos, and you can't see the guy's face, but it's this kind of fat dude.
I would
with
say fat, say big.
This Matthew, formerly known as Matthew McNutt dude, and he was covered in Star Wars tattoos. It was awesome. Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, so we shoot for an hour, a little over an hour maybe.
All right, there is.
Do you want to bet him on anything?
No, he probably found one message. It was over 45 minutes.
Refuel,
No.
39. Mine, 30.
Here is a question about a senior pastor checking out. It says, "What can?" See, I even crossed out the person's name, so I wouldn't say
Oh.
the name.
Oh,
you
good.
are-
Wow,
you
it took
are-
you 103 episodes to get that.
For the first time, we're not going to mention
Blocked.
this guy's name.
You are blocked
Love
on
it.
Twitter. I actually, if I knew how to do it from my phone, I would do it right now.
Oh, I don't know how. You must be able to just block
Off.
their username.
Yeah.
No, not off. Block. It's different.
Oh, shoot.
And block means you
Oh, yeah,
will
yeah,
never get
yeah,
his
yeah, yeah.
update. It's so good. I want to do this. This is going to be great.
I know. I'm excited about it.
No more.
Then she's gonna be at home, and her husband's gonna say things like, "Hey, did you hear Doug did?" No.
Oh,
You know what
yeah.
I'll do? I'll just block you as probation.
Okay.
Maybe when I go to Africa, I'll unblock you. Anything you need to know. What should I do when my senior pastor is checked out? It seems last year or so, my senior pastor has been checked out in many different ways, including his knowledge of the youth ministry. I might even argue that I'm not even on his radar at all anymore, and I'm not sure what to do. Any advice or help would be great.
Thank the Lord. What? Because when you're on the radar of a senior pastor, it's not usually a good thing.
Yeah,
No
well,
offense.
it's a tough
No
one.
offense,
No,
but-
I feel
But-
that because I definitely have felt that many times that, a pastor is so busy with so many other things, like the last thing that, the story I tell about coming back from taking probably the largest mission trip our church has ever taken, not just kids, our church has ever taken, totally exhausted from a week at camp, and I saw our pastor in the parking lot, and he talked about the Easter services. Not once asked me about, how was your trip, that type of thing. I thought, man, I am so far off his radar that he
Right.
didn't even know that I was gone for a week, with our youth ministry. So that's it's a tough thing. I don't know what you can do. It's always good in feelings about the church. It's always good to have a neutral person that isn't at your church, somebody you can talk to. I mean, for me, anytime I've been wounded, I don't want to always talk to people at my church because then I become divisive.
Right.
But when I go to somebody who doesn't care anything at all about my church or my pastor or whatever situation, and I can just, let me get this on my chest. Am I seeing things different? Any insight that you would have that I'm not seeing? You know, one of the things that we have the advantage of is being a multiple staff.
Right.
And I realize most of our team that listens is not a part of a multiple staff, and it's a tougher thing. But you got to find somebody in your life that you can talk to and have that outside safe sounding board.
Well, let me ask
But-
this: is there? Go ahead.
You go.
I was just thinking: is there any value in kind of ringing the bell of youth ministry? Like, would it be good to send an email to
I
your
was thinking the
superior
same thing.
and
How do
say,
you get back on his radar, even if it's just, even if you're not asking for a response or anything, you're just saying, hey, here's an update of the last 3 months, or here's,
Right.
thought you'd want to know about this, or here's a story of a changed life in
Right.
youth ministry, but that you do your part to stay on his
the,
radar
the
too.
reason I'm asking
That's a
is-
great. Let's pause for
Yeah.
a second there. That's a great point, because that's a question that, or a response that all of us can learn from. Because I wonder how much of this is personal to the senior pastor, that he's just maybe going through a hard time or whatever it is. That because it says he's checked out. It seems that he's even checked out of his knowledge of youth ministry. So he might have just checked out because he's hurting, or he's wounded, or she, or whoever it is, or there's some sin in their
Right,
life
right.
that's unconfessed, or they're looking at another church, or they're tired, or one of the many, I mean, we check out a lot of times, and maybe there's kids in our group who would say, gosh, he doesn't even notice me anymore. It seems
Sure.
like he's checked out, he's there, he teaches his message, but, he never really gives me the warm embrace like he used to. I mean, there are seasons where ministry is tiring and you're kind of just going through the motions, and that's a terrible thing to do, but it's reality. But what you're saying, Jana, is all of us as youth workers can do. The tension is, how do you do it without being obnoxious or bragging? Because we used
Well,
to have staff meetings, and we had a small groups guy in the past. He would always,
Yeah.
anybody want to share? First one to raise his hand, he'd share about all
Yeah.
the stuff and numbers and all the stuff that was going on. And finally, one time I talked to him, I said, have you noticed that every time we do this, you're always the first one to share? I mean, we were buddies. I just said, you're coming off as a kiss up, you're dominating everybody else's time.
Yeah.
There is that tension. I want you to know what's going on, but I don't want to be bragging all the time, because I'm not sending you lowlights.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
I'm not sending you when Sunday school attendance dips in half after prom, or something like that.
Well, let me give you an example that I would like to have you give me some help with. Last night we had a really neat thing happen in our youth ministry, something that we haven't had happen in a really long time. I think the senior pastor would be thrilled to know about it, but with everything going on, there's no way that he does know about it.
Yeah.
So what do? Do I send him a note? Do I save it up? What do I do in this? I mean, I think it's really good news. I'm thrilled by it, and I would think that he would be too, but I don't want to be that person you just described.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Well, I
Think
think
of some
there's-
bad news and put with it?
No, I think there's a couple ways you can do it. I mean, you could, you can team up on that. You could send that to me and
Right.
go, hey, I know that, you were interested about what happened. Here it is. And then I forward that
And
on.
let you be the
I
messenger,
mean, that's
right.
one of the things that anybody who oversees team members, that's your job. One of my jobs is to promote you guys. I mean, I always feel like if I'm not your cheerleader, you're not going to have a cheerleader sometimes.
Right.
So using the cheerleader you have in that environment. But if you don't have that cheerleader, as long as you're not doing it every week,
Right.
Yeah.
I would say that. I think you could send that right to Pastor Rick, and he'd be excited about it.
I wonder if senior pastors would be very excited to get that, just so they know that there is communication and there is a bridge, and they can share, even though they hired you to kind of take the youth and they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
I think secretly they really want to know what's going on, and they want to cheer you on, and they do believe in you, even if it doesn't always feel that way.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll send you an email in a little while. Forward it on, will you?
No, you could send that one. He'd be thrilled.
I think
He'd
you
be
will
thrilled.
too. I'm pumped.
Yeah. Here's a email from Dan Amaro, and he has just been asked to be a youth worker in Mexicali, Mexico, and he basically it's too general. He basically saying, I've just been handed this. Where do I start? And you know what? Why don't you do this, Dan? Why don't you send me your email, your actual physical address, and I will send you a free copy of your first 2 years in youth ministry. But I would also like to connect you with a PDYM mentor. We've got to have somebody
Yeah.
near a border town where he
Absolutely.
could drive to and connect with, and you could find that person
That'd
at
be
pdymcommunity.com. But Dan, if you send me your address, I will send you first 2 years and get started in the journey talking to people. It's not just you can't say where do you start on a podcast and expect a bunch of help.
Right.
You need to read, you need to think, you need to meet with people, and that's what our PDYM mentors would love to do. You guys have anything else on that?
No,
Oh,
I
that's great.
think a little bit of it depends on what he's walking into too, so that determines where you start. So it's
Yeah.
hard to.
Right.
And we've kind of said that from day one with the podcast, is that sometimes people are hemorrhaging and we can't, we're handing out Band-Aids
Yeah.
that they need to be in relationship with people and networked with other youth workers. This is from Mike McGarry, Emmanuel Baptist Church, Norfolk, Massachusetts. How do you utilize Facebook in your ministry? Do you get flack from parents because of all the bad press it gets in the news? What are some other ways you utilize the internet in ministry to your students? Josh, tell them what we've been talking about.
Oh man, what have we been talking?
What have I said to you about a month ago?
Oh, so many things. You are like a fountain of wisdom. I only hope to
Save
take
it for next
little
week.
sips. Oh yeah, wait, that's for the next show. What was the question again? Sorry, I got rattled.
Facebook.
Well,
right
what,
there.
How
I'm,
you
sa-
use
what I'm saying to
Facebook.
you about saying you are the internet guy of
Yeah.
the world,
Yeah,
and that you have been.
I am.
I think. Well, I think you have been delegating other people to do some of that,
Yeah.
but they don't think the same. You
No.
think. Just even like when we're talking about.
Wait a minute. Do you need a computer? Because right now you're like.
We're talking about Quicken. He's like mint.com. You are
Yeah.
just so wired, no pun intended, to go that route.
Yeah.
And in some ways, in the last year or so, you've let
Yeah.
other people
Yeah.
kind of handle stuff that is
We
really your
made
sweet
some
spot.
mistakes. Yeah. I love the internet. I love technology. I love the idea of
You
using
like
that.
to sing? I love technology.
I do love that song.
Movie.
I don't know.
Come on.
You
I don't know.
The tech-
No.
I love technology.
I was just trying to figure that out when you said that.
No.
I seriously don't know.
you know?
Napoleon Dynamite.
Okay.
I knew
Oh.
I was
you
going
would
to say,
know.
if you didn't know.
No.
I would.
See,
I
I'm
tried to watch
wired
it
for that.
7
I know.
times
I would
and
have
fell
said block
asleep.
twice.
No, so in an effort to help other people, like, kind of have a role and have an identity and use other people, I let them do the internet stuff and our communication, our blog and our email and all that stuff. And a little while in, I just realized that, whoa, I made a huge mistake. And this is something I'm passionate about. It takes me 2 minutes to update something that could take them 2 hours. We're not forward thinking, we're only maintaining. And so I made a huge change and said, I'm going to scoop up those responsibilities, let some other stuff go, which was tough to do. But, and now I actually run the HSM blog, and I grabbed a volunteer who's really good in this area too. And he's helping run our Facebook page and events and stuff now. And there's incredible opportunities in technology out there right now. So we simply text, we use Facebook, and we have an HSM blog.
Simply text.
Yeah.
People can access that through our website.
Yeah, it's
Blog. We
free.
have. Yep. And then Facebook.
Facebook also free.
Yeah. What about flack? Have we got any flack from parents on that?
Really not. We really haven't.
You know,
I
But
Southern
Face-
California is a little bit. We're a little bit. I don't want to say progressive because that sounds weird. We're just
Yeah.
not a. We don't have like
As
homeschool.
conservative.
Yeah,
We don't get hung
homeschool
up
families don't
easily.
tend to survive in our church.
Yeah.
Because we'll do things that push
Right.
them a little bit.
You walk in and 1 week later go, okay, I know this place isn't for me because I'm not comfortable with 8 things that they did, much less
Yeah.
1 or 2 in some churches.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we don't
Stripper
have.
testimonies.
Yeah, that was a great weekend. Just kidding. But I'd be okay with that if we had one. So yeah, we use Facebook because our kids are on Facebook. Our
He's
students.
kidding, Mom.
Yeah. Our students are on Facebook already, so we're really just going where they are. Where in some instances, your students might not be allowed to be on Facebook or MySpace or whatever,
Yeah.
and so we're just simply using the tool that's out there. We don't use Twitter. I think some students are interested in that, and there's a handful, but I'd say it's a handful.
Yeah.
So we used to use MySpace. MySpace is toast now, so we don't worry about that anymore. So try to stay on the front edge of what's next. We use YouTube a lot. And
Have you guys tried email?
email, oh, it's dead.
But
for
email's
old
hard
people.
with students.
Email's
that's
really
been
hard
a
with
hard.
students.
Yeah.
And so, but texting has absolutely revolutionized the way we communicate with students. You don't get a lot of flack because it's a little bit, it's mass texting. So it's not like the leader sending out, 12 texts. It's
Yeah.
a system that sends out 12 texts automatically or whatever, however many you have.
Yeah.
So we haven't got a lot of flack for that because it's a little bit, it's personal, but it's a little bit impersonal, which helps in the technology world.
Well, kids are grabbing on to whatever they can.
For sure.
My junior high daughter, she checks her email every day.
Right.
And for me, I don't even think about sending her email because, like, my college daughter is on Facebook, Twitter,
yeah, texting. Yep.
Cassie, my junior high, didn't have a phone until a couple of months ago. My junior son doesn't have an email account. When teachers have to email, it comes to us.
Right.
So, he's texting, Facebook, but we kept him from that. I mean, there are some families. My daughter doesn't have MySpace or Facebook, so.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that we try to do, this is a little aside, is that we don't ever sign something. When it comes from HSM, HSM is the sender. It's not like, hey, this guy named Dennis sent you a note, or Josh is writing you. Occasionally we would do that with more of, but never with the broad strokes of communication and Facebook. The HSM is the identity.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, web personalities that we've developed or anything like that, which I think, it's a little bit safer that way too. So, but there's good questions about that. We post pictures. When we went to New Mexico a couple weeks ago, we posted pictures of every student up on our Flickr account. And, technically we probably should have had signed releases from parents. We made a highlight video and played it on the weekend. And, but I think some of that's youth ministry. It's informal. It's like if you come to this event, we're going to have cameras there and whatever. And we just don't get that much flack.
Yeah.
You have anything on that?
No, I mean, we've been using it for other stuff in ministry. We use the events all the time to remind people about stuff that's coming up. And
I like that.
yeah, so.
I was in a meeting with Jana and a couple other people last week, and they got on this Facebook discussion.
Yeah.
And I swear with you, I felt like I was like on a different planet, because I don't even know the words they were using. Those of you on our team that are new listeners, I don't have Facebook. I had it for one day, and I got all these. I thought, it's going to dominate me like email has, and I
Delete.
I deleted. I think I deleted my.
Well, did you know that 70% of people, you didn't know this, I promise you, but I'll tell you now,
Yeah.
because I'm wired for that.
Yeah, tell me.
70% of people who try Facebook stick with it, and 40% of people who try Twitter stick with it. So Twitter has a much lower success rate, but you made it on Twitter.
That's interesting.
I was gonna say that you're wrong about that because it was 2 out of 5, and then I did the math in my head, and that would be 4 out of 10, which would be 40%. Because I just heard that on the radio.
Did you really?
Yeah.
All right.
I
good.
listen to KFWB News 98. You give us 22 minutes, we give you the world.
world.
Craig Pfeiffer from Walla Walla, Washington.
Walla Walla.
I think it's Pfeiffer. Maybe it's Pier.
Michelle.
Pfeiffer.
Hernandez? It's just my bit today. Sorry. I
Pfeiffer.
hope you enjoyed that.
You meaning Chris?
Team.
You meaning
The team.
The team.
team.
The team.
He says, Craig, how would you say his name? Pfeiffer.
Craig?
Pfeiffer.
He says Craig?
First off, he called us pals. Hey,
pals.
pals.
Hey, Doug Fields and pals.
We are his pals. We're
If
his
we were doing
team.
children's ministry, we would be his pals.
No, I'm his pal. I'm his buddy.
Thank you.
Craig, we're buddies.
You're pals.
Yeah, not pals.
No, he's my pal too. He's my pal.
Oh, yeah.
Next time I go to Walla Walla, Washington,
You're going to be hanging out as
Walla Walla.
I'll be
pals.
with my pal. Craig Pfeiffer here from Walla Walla. This Sunday, I'm wrapping up a 6-week series is God's Best Plan for Sex. It's a hybrid of Best Sex Ever, which is one of our super series, Power of Sex, which is one of our super series, and Craig's Home Cooked Teaching. That way, Craig.
Craig
Very
Super
fun.
Series.
Over the last several weeks, I've had several kids come to my office, confess their bad choices, and share their hurt. It's always difficult to know what to say. I usually say something, I'm sorry for your loss. I try to help them see God's grace and new life. I usually cry with them, pray with them, and encourage them to talk with their parents. But I always feel like I could be of more help. The good news is I've never said, see, I told you so, and laughed in their face. See, that's perfect that McGill's not here.
Yes, that would be
That's
over.
his counseling strategy. Could you give me some hope or some help here on counseling students who are hurting? And please feel free to plug a book you've written or writing or thinking about writing, or thenodgeball.com.
Ding.
Rules.
Cha-ching.
Well, you can. Gosh, Craig, I read your email, and we are pals because I can hear your pastor in this. Can't you?
Yes.
Nah, I
You
do
know,
like that a lot.
I usually cry and pray with them, encourage them, talk with their parents. That's you
That's
are
good
loving
youth
them. You
ministry.
love them in your pain. When the fact that they're coming to you to confess their bad choices from their sexual past. I mean, that's
You're
that's big.
trusted,
Yeah.
you're admired,
That's
you're
actually how I
respected.
met Jana when she was in high school. That she came to my office.
She's the one who gave the testimony the other night. And
Hey.
But you know, there's that part where you always feel. I mean, that's where you can tell. I bet you, Craig, your gifting test would lead strong with pastor, because not only do you write it in your words that you're a pastor, but the question of I always feel like I could be of more help. You know, that's a pastor's heart feels like I could do more, I could help more, I could be there more, you know, which is one of the reasons pastors oftentimes are so out of balance, because they keep thinking, oftentimes they don't think this way, but they have kind of that Messiah complex. I want to be there for you. And I think everything you've described to me, I would say you're a great, great youth worker. I think that if somebody comes to you about their past, that you're not afraid to continue to talk about it 2 weeks later, a month later, next time that person gets in a relationship. You know, don't think, oh, you know, he confessed his pornography or having sex, or we went too far, and that was a one-time.
it's all better now.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a one-time event. That, you know, continue. Hey, pull him aside, give him a hug. You know, how are you doing in this? Hey, I've noticed you're back in a relationship. How are things going to be different
That's
this
so
time?
interesting. I don't feel comfortable saying all the information, but the last conversation before coming here, I was asking somebody about their past, and we had talked about it before, and there was something that was like, I need to ask this question.
Yeah.
Weren't you
but
meeting
this
with Josh Peace?
No. But I was uncomfortable. I mean, I was like stalling in myself to ask
Yeah.
the question. But when I did, I mean, it was good, and it opened up
That's good.
it was good. But I mean, I just stood there for a moment going, oh, I don't want to ask this, this is going to be uncomfortable. I don't know how she's going to react to this, but it was good.
Yeah.
So
Well, it feels like it's a great opportunity to communicate with the small group leader too. Like if someone confesses something to you, if you have a small group leader structure where this kid is a member of a group, okay, can we go to your leader? Because that leader is going to journey with them more than that initial conversation. So I think communication
But
with
you're
the
asking
rest
that
of your
kid's
team.
permission.
Absolutely, I think that's too big of a deal.
Yep.
But and then let that leader walk with them a little further down the line. And one of the other things we're doing is we're looking right now for a couple of key volunteers who will just be in that pastoral care, counseling, ongoing mode, and just trying to empower a couple of adults who are wired like this guy to care for our students who say, I need more face time than I can get from you. And we're hoping these volunteers will really step up and be that person.
That's great. That's great. Well, great job, Craig. All right, let's close it out. It's 45 minutes. David from Southeast England got your email. Didn't ask a question, but I read it all, and thank you. Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
thank you, thank you. We are part of
More Than Dodgeball is great.
Body
And
of Christ.
I'm glad you wrote that.
And for those that I didn't get to, there's a few that we didn't get to. We'll keep them on the top of the list. I'm
we'll
actually-
answer them next
I'm
Should
week.
we
give
just
them
save
to
them for next
Jana.
week? Just put them right here?
Yeah, we could actually just save them right there. Right
There it is.
But keep sending them in to SYM Podcast at Simply Youth Ministry.
At gmail.com.
SYM
Oh,
Podcast at
goodness.
gmail.com.
Yes.
All right.
And
then
we'll log in and see you next week, although you will be gone.
I will be in Africa,
That's
so you
awesome.
could pray for me. And
Who all's going? Is your daughter? I know Tori's going because we sent her a little support to
That's
go.
nice.
Yeah.
Have you?
we're
When
so-
did you
we-
send that? I haven't seen
Oh,
it.
like last week.
Oh, wow.
A little late. I didn't know you were
But
leaving
she's
this
not going on this
Lost
trip.
in the mail.
Oh, she's not going on this trip?
No, I am going with.
Oh.
This is a fun trip. I'm going with Duffy Robbins.
It's like vacation
Shut up.
vacation
in Africa.
I'm
With
going with
the-
Duffy Robbins and his wife Maggie. I'm going with Chap Clark
Is
and his
Kathy
wife
going?
Dee. Kathy, my wife, is
Oh
going.
my goodness, this is incredible.
Seriously.
Marv Penner,
How come the podcast can't go to
And his
Africa
What about
on
your pals?
vacation?
his wife Lois.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah,
How awesome.
yeah. Walt Mueller.
Walt
going?
Disney's also going?
No, so it's
He's
the
dead.
Fields, the Robbins, the Penners, the Muellers, and the Clarks.
Nuh-uh.
Yes, very cool.
If you guys, no offense, but if you die on that plane crash,
A lot of youth
ministry
ministry.
will
going-
forever be
going down.
changed.
The church is. You
Wait.
guys should fly in separate planes.
So stupid.
No, we'll have McGill. Don't worry, we'll be fine.
Yeah, no, book sales will go up.
Dude, you're always more famous after you die.
That's what I've
But
heard.
for the record, I hope you don't.
Okay, thank you. All right.
No offense.
Have a good show. All right, block.
No offense.
Bye.
That block thing is funny.